It's hard to get excited for Insomniac's Wolverine with all the drama surrounding Sony lately. I wanted to play something close to it, so I hopped on what many call the best Wolverine game ever made, and after beating it for the very first time, I couldn't agree more. This is the greatest Wolverine game I ever played, but it's also not a good game at all. That may sound like a contradiction, but it's a reason why so many people back in the day only played the demo of Wolverine X-Men Origins, or maybe they bought the game, played the first few levels, but they quickly returned it. X-Men Origins is just both things at once. It's both the best Wolverine game ever, and it's one of the worst video games ever. And it's clear that Insomniac is inspired by this game, and I just hope they took the good from it and not the bad from it. Before I continue, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the hype button. May Jehovah God and Jesus Christ bless you all, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now, to explain the difference between a good game and a good Wolverine game, I gotta go to the DC side of the gaming world. The Batman Arkham games are good games and also good Batman games. Whether you like or care about Batman is irrelevant. You will still be getting some really fun games that anyone could get into. You don't need to be a fan of the Caped Crusader, but because these games are so good and they're good representations of Batman as a character and his universe, you can actually become a fan through these games. But this cannot be said about Wolverine. What Origins does well is that it taps into the rage of Wolverine and the rush it must feel like to be him. You'll be slicing and dicing up bad guys while taking crazy amounts of damage. You'll really feel like a weapon unleashed, an unstoppable force of nature. This game is a true power trip on steroids even. So why am I so bored out of my mind while playing it? Where Origin fails is being a generic representation of the genre it's in. It's a hack and slash game, similar to games like God of War and Devil May Cry. Now I would say this leans more on the God of War side than anything thanks to the heavy emphasis on power and destruction rather than the control, cool, and style of a DMC game. You can tell that the devs clearly wanted you, the player, to feel unstoppable. Wolverine carves through everyone like a hot knife through butter, and his healing factor shows off crazy levels of damage, but after some rest, you'll be good to go. This is great if this was a Wolverine simulator, but it's bad for the hack and slash genre. Hack and slash games are just beat 'em up games, but they have an emphasis on using some type of weapon like a sword or a blade. Because technically they're part of the beat 'em up genre, they have arcade roots. And we know that any good hack and slash game must have challenging enemies to match the overpowered protagonist. As an example, Kratos needs the beings around him to be just as strong, if not stronger than him, to put up a good fight. And it actually feeds into the power trip fantasy of these games because the bigger they are, the harder they fall. If you're the big fish in the pond, then nothing's going to feel like a challenge to you. And that's kind of the problem with Wolverine X-Men Origins. They just gave Wolverine a bunch of pushovers. You will bully the AI in this game and make them your plaything. And that could be fun for a moment, but after a while, you just kind of get bored. You'll be throwing these guys into hazards, unleashing a fury of slashes on them, and my favorite is Wolverine's pounce. You can jump on goons like a rabid dog and tear them to shreds in seconds. Granted, all of this makes for a great Wolverine game, but it makes for a boring video game because it lacks any challenge. The bosses in this game actually prove my point as each of them puts up enough of a fight that I actually had to think about what I was doing instead of mindlessly mashing away. The bar fight with Sabretooth was awesome. Tearing up the bar and watching the tables and chairs fly around made this fight a tamed spectacle, which you don't see often in games like these. It's either go big or go home, but it's something cool about a classic bar fight in a game like this. The grocery store rampage was another example of a challenging fight while maintaining a power trip. The Blob may be slow, but if he actually grabs you, he can actually do a lot of damage. Riding around on him and just smashing up the joint just brought so much joy to me. It really taps into that primal part of your brain that enjoys seeing things get wrecked, and it's one of my favorite moments in the game. And of course, fighting the Sentinel. These guys were designed to destroy mutants, and it's no wonder that these things are a threat. You have to lead it into traps to take it down, but then the fight takes itself to the air where all you can do is just fly closer and closer to the thing to destroy it. Now I gotta be honest here, I could not dodge half of the debris that was coming to my face, and if Wolverine didn't have his healing factor, I would have been died. And speaking of this, let's actually talk about how many times Wolverine flexes his healing factor in this game.
You gotta go. And go. Take care of yourself, kid.
Bye, Mr. Logan.
Where'd you go? Whew. You stuck real good, mon frere. Here, let me give you a reason to get unstuck. Au revoir.
This man just doesn't give a crap and will put himself in so many situations that will kill anyone else, and he just walks away perfectly fine. All of this is awesome, and I hope the feeling of speed and fury that Origins has is represented in Insomniac's Wolverine. But what shouldn't be there are the boring enemies. Like, I get it, Wolverine is super powerful and could rip through mostly anyone that's in his way, but they gotta break the rules a bit and let the average enemy put up some kind of a fight. Cause in this game, the average grunt is just fodder for the carnage. They tried to add in these super beings, but guess what? They don't really put up much of a challenge, and most of them can be easily killed with the game's parrying system because it's the easiest parrying system in the world. It takes really no timing to get it done. Or you could just throw them into a hazard, which instantly kills them. Another boring enemy were these repetitive giant boss fights. If you think God of War overdid it with the trolls, well, Wolverine said hold my beer. Anytime the devs wanted to spice things up, they would throw one of these guys in the mix. And yes, you have to fight them the same way every time, and it gets boring and tiring real fast. Now, there was one time when they put like 3 of them in front of me at once, and that was a bit harder than normal, but still, I wish they had a better enemy pool here. One thing I wasn't expecting was the developers leaning into the power fantasy to the point of making the RPG elements reflect that. You will be leveling up in this game over and over and over and over and over again, and it never gets old. It's not like you need more power for these wimps, and I would actually go long stretches of time without investing my points into any of my skills or changing any of my perks. But my power constantly growing really added to the feeling of being Wolverine. But again, it made the game unbalanced in my favor to the point of boredom. And that's overall the point. Wolverine X-Men Origins is a good game if you want to feel like Weapon X, but not one if you want to actually play for a long time or even complete it. And it's crazy because the game isn't even all that long, but it will feel that way because of how boring it can be. And half of the game is set in like one location. Most of the game is in Africa, and the other half is in some facility that's kind of boring to look at. There are just endless ways of bad guys that you could easily beat with your eyes closed, and you know what? You actually might do that because you'll be literally dozing off while playing it. X-Men Origins is a game that many people will turn on and say, hey, this is fun, but after an hour, you're done, and you'll probably never touch it again. With all that being said, I hope Insomniac can do to Wolverine what Rocksteady did for Batman. But if they can't, you know, we always have the best boring game ever made, and that's Wolverine X-Men Origins.